Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and what you're witnessing right now is the absolute madness of all four of my tier 4s taking on Dormammu simultaneously. I know it's a lot to take in. It's scrambling your brains right now, but I honestly think it looks really cool, and you get to see side by side by side by side by side by side just how fast and how fierce these different competitors can be against each other. Now, of course, for the sake of comparisons, we're going to slow it down and I'll show you each clip, one by one. But for now, I want you guys to just take in how impressive this is, where you see, by the time Carnage gets his first life kill, Hulk is almost halfway through chewing down Dormammu's second life, and it really paints a stark contrast. So we're jumping back now. We're going to just do the second phase of each 4 of the fights. We're starting off with Moon Knight. Moon Knight is the exception to this comparison. Well, he's actually not the only exception, but he's rocking a mighty CTP of energy. All of the builds otherwise are very similar in terms of the number of Odin's blessings, stage 12 Power of Angry Hulk, mythic uniform, etc. But for Moon Knight, he does have a mighty CTP of energy. Now, a Rage will perform a little bit better, but it's not that much better, and then you lose out on his performance in World Boss Legend, so that is a little bit disappointing and unfortunate. However, we are using the same teams otherwise in terms of the leadership support with Sif and Valkyrie. This is probably Moon Knight's best team anyways, but yeah, we sort of knew it when Moon Knight came out. He wasn't that great for GBR, and as we've seen more combat tier 4s come out like Hulk, Carnage, and Venom, that has sort of reaffirmed that idea there. But yeah, Moon Knight is able to get Dormammu down quite well. The good thing about Moon Knight as far as his consistency goes is his healing. Like Hulk, once you have the tier 4, you can basically just face tank those orbs. I know I dodge them in some cases when I can, but otherwise you really don't have to, because he has a nice heal on his 5th skill, and then he has that crazy heal on his tier 4. Not quite as tanky as Hulk with the passive healing, but still quite good. A respectable 2 minutes. But the second phase of Hulk is honestly... Actually, sorry, this is not even the second phase. This is the whole Hulk fight. I wanted to go back and show you guys the first phase, because this is just disgusting. So his first rotation, he does 20 bars. You're like, okay, that's pretty cool. I don't even have the ideal tier 4 striker. This could actually be a tiny bit faster. But look at the numbers, bro. The numbers go from 30, it's like... It's like the life points in Yu-Gi-Oh! Going down after you get one tapped. Here, he can tank the flames. Again, this is PvP build Hulk. And if nothing else, this video will be a sort of capsule in time to remind us of how broken Hulk was before he got his nerf, I guess. He like, looking back on this footage after I recorded it, because this is pre-recorded footage that I'm talking over, he kind of needs the nerf. He's too busted. Keep in mind, he's the other exception. This is a PvP build on my Hulk. So he is rocking a CTP of regen. That's right. He's putting up these numbers and he's doing this much damage with a PvP CTP, which means pre-nerf, if you go play him tomorrow, he can do this even faster with the CTP of rage, which is downright disgusting. Absolutely. Like, this is beyond broken and absolutely needs to be, brought more in line. There, I canceled his 5th skill, just because doing the tier 4 plus the tier 3 plus the 4th skill is such a dirty combo for damage that I wanted to rush it. But yeah, under 2 minutes is absolutely ridiculous. Now we go to Venom here, his second phase. Venom does so well. I feel like Venom is, in my opinion, the best and the most consistent tier 4 here, because of the fact that we know he's not getting a nerf, and he's faster than Moon Knight. Spoiler alert there. And he also seems to be faster than Carnage. He doesn't have the added value in PvP that Carnage and Hulk have, but I'm just so happy, man. Every time I play with Venom, he's just so strong. He hits so hard. He's so consistently good. I know he needs a rage by default, but it's just so much fun. And the thing that I want to mention and I want to make clear for GBR specifically is when you see my characters, 10, 15 seconds faster than one another, you think that's not a very big amount of time. It's a huge amount of time, right? These are top-end characters built to the nines with the perfect CTP for GBR, and their timings can be so similar, especially since this is the lowest amount of HP that Dormammu can have as it's a solo. It's not a group clear. that it really highlights just how strong Venom is, that he was, 15, 20 seconds faster than Moon Knight, and almost as fast as Hulk pre-nerf, which is pretty nutty. Now, Carnage here, I played him a little bit differently. I know that I stressed waiting for the accumulation, but I wanted to show you guys what the other end of that looks like, which is just playing him very aggressively and kind of hoping that you get the accumulation. Sometimes I actually get it, sometimes I don't. So I do think this clear could be a little bit faster if luck is on your side. Like at the very beginning of the second life, I guessed that the red line would be on the wrong side. And again, I'm only saving a couple of seconds by guessing, so it may not be worth it to sacrifice missing the accumulation. But Carnage does struggle. He definitely does struggle. I'm still wondering, and I'm still testing between canceling the tier 3 like right away versus canceling it after he rains down, because most of the time if you wait to cancel, if you very long delay cancel on 6, the 5th skill only has about a second left, or maybe a second and a half for the tier 3 proc, so it doesn't really have that much time. So I do think it's better to cancel into the 5th skill, but I am still testing that. But yeah, even with a rage, Carnage still comes in dead last, which is a little scary. Now, moving on to World Boss Legend. This is stage 64 of Null. And what I wanted to do here was I wanted to compare them all equally. So we switched up the teams this time around. We could have used, actually we couldn't have used Sif or Valkyrie. But anyways, we're using She-Hulk and Taskmaster. Now, Moon Knight does really well here because unlike everyone else, he has the better build for World Boss Legend. So I kind of felt like it was unfair just testing them in GBR, or then testing them in GBR and something like Gore, where Rage is still best. It's going to put Moon Knight in bad light because he's got an Energy. So Energy, we know, is a better CTP for World Boss Legend. We know that, at least for Mephisto and Null. So Moon Knight should perform pretty well, and unsurprisingly, he does perform very well. Huge burst damage, huge, damage, just overall damage, very consistent. We can get in some second skills here. But I wanted to show you guys the whole fight. This is the only stage, this is the only high stage of World Boss Legend that all 4 of these tier 4s can compete in without any changes. So I thought that was really important to highlight. I did want to test one other World Boss Legend like Mephisto or Gore or whatever, but the stages they would do would just be too low. It would be like 29 of Mephisto, or it would be, stage 14 of Gore, just very, very low stages. Really doesn't make for accurate testing because they just blow through it so fast. So I think Null here is going to have to serve his purpose. Null does make Carnage look a little bit worse, and he makes Moon Knight look a little bit better, I think, just because of the way the builds are constructed for each characters and how much damage Null does. He does the least damage of all the World Boss Legends, but I still think it's a good comparison. So yeah, Moon Knight comes in at a very respectable 319. Very respectable time, very, very strong, basically 100 seconds. However, Hulk shows up to the party, and Hulk will not be contained. I literally don't understand. I play Hulk, and the damage is just, he's so bust. Look at this bars, bro. Look at this. He just casually does like 20 bars with one rotation. It's just absolutely disgusting. And again, I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a PvP build. Now, Hulk doesn't do damage based on physical attack, right? So Sif's leadership was only half applying. The HP part was applying for GBR. However, She-Hulk's lead, in my opinion, is the best lead in the game for Hulk and for Venom, and possibly for Moon Knight as well. So I do want to highlight She-Hulk as well here. She's doing a lot of work to make these male tier 4s look amazing, because there's basically the idea of diminishing returns. And as the numbers get higher and higher and higher, and I'm talking about attack numbers, attack stats, as the numbers get so high, they don't do as much, right? So like your first 100% all attack is going to do a lot more for your damage than the next 100% all attack. Just like some people can't really tell the difference between 20 and 25% pierce, but you can definitely tell the difference between 0 and 5% pierce. Okay, I don't really have to explain what Hulk's doing right now because he's just like blowing my mind. He does this in, what is this, 79 seconds? It's disgusting, disgustingly fast. Venom is amazing as well. I did have to rerun this one because I made a mistake in the beginning, but Venom does amazing as well. But basically, what I want to explain about She-Hulk's leadership is that Venom and Moon Knight, their tier 4s give them a very large attack buff, right? Moon Knight gives them like 90 or 110% all attack. And so when you have 100% all attack on your cards, and then you have another 100% all attack on your tier 4, you're getting those diminishing returns. So if you just give them another 50% attack leadership or 30% physical attack leadership, it's not doing anything. That's why a lot of people were really impressed with Venom at tier 3, but then when they get him to tier 4, it's like, he's not really hitting that much harder in some content. I believe that it has to do with the scaling, right? And how the tier 4 giving that big all attack buff really doesn't scale very well once you have enough of it, once you have so much of the attack stat. And that's where She-Hulk comes in. She doesn't buff your attack, she buffs your damage. Now, she's always been a really good lead, don't get me wrong, but I think now more than ever with these tier 4s I made a mistake here. I should have gotten closer before doing the tier 3 because I couldn't cancel, and I actually have to cancel into the 1 and then into the 3 and then into the 4. Yeah. But anyways, She-Hulk lead, scaling the damage, I think is so much better for these tier 4s, and especially the combat types who buff themselves up with so much all attack. I sort of fudged this proc here, but I just hit the 6 and then hit the co-op, and he just bursted, he exploded. So what you just saw there was Venom going as fast as Hulk. Now, I know Hulk has a PvP build, but remember, guys, Hulk is broken. So for Venom with a Rage to be as fast as broken Hulk, me likey, right? Papa like that kind of damage. Last but not least, we come to Carnage, and I feel bad saying last but not least, but I really cannot shake the feeling that Carnage is just bringing up the rear. He's the bench warmer of the tier 4s right now. And that's not to say that he doesn't have value, because we already covered the crazy value of his tier 4 when you have his artifact and the sort of back and forth you can do with that, and having a PvP build or going hybrid PvE. He can still get kills with a Rage, which is so rare nowadays. So I don't want to, not remind you and sort of recognize that part of his build, that aspect of his build, because we do that for Hulk, right? We're like, oh, Hulk's damage is so good and he's got a PvP build. Well, Carnage's damage is good and he can get kills in PvP, right? So that is worth something as well. However, on the flip side, this is actually a really good combo here. On the flip side, Carnage just has less damage. Now, part of that has to do with Null not really helping you. Null doesn't do enough damage, doesn't hit you enough times to constantly max out your accumulation, right? So you really have to practice well, or just try him against other bosses. He's going to be considerably better against Gore, because Gore hits you so often, so fast, and so hard that he's constantly going to be maxing out Carnage's accumulation. Here, no matter what combo of attacks I did, I wasn't going to be able to push him out of the dragon phase early. I do think I misplayed that second phase a little bit from 22 bars down to dragon, because Null was very far away from where he jumps, right? When he gets down to 12 bars, he jumps to the top of the arena to get into the dragon phase. If he's already at the top of the arena, you can squeeze in some extra damage. You have a few extra seconds to combo him as he's sort of jumping, because he doesn't have to jump very far, right? Because he's already there. Whereas if he's on the other side of the arena, he just disappears and you have nobody to target. So I do think this run with Carnage could have been a little bit faster, a little bit, but overall he still comes in well behind the other three, and I really don't see him being able to make up that time. He could possibly be faster than Hulk after his rework, after his nerf, but that would be a PvP Hulk. So hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this comparison. It was so much fun to record. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.